So yeah, welcome to the third meeting, but I guess some of you are like the first time here. What we did previously, we started the book 1, which is called Neynameh, which is the book of the reed. In Persian, reed means nay, also means no, in some colloquial language. And we talked about the fact that why Rumi, we thought about like why Rumi used ney, the flute, as the main protagonist of his story. The first kind of like story is because it doesn't have, it's empty inside. That subject of being empty inside. And if you go through his teachings, you will see this is a recurring theme, how you can empty yourself from later. You will kind of start thinking about like, is that ego, nafs, me, selfishness, where all the bad characteristics. And then another layer opens up, which is the idea of becoming an open, empty vessel for the beloved to blow through you, to sit on you, in you like a vehicle, use you, to sit in you, to use you. So Rumi, anyway, suggests, I am the reed. And what you hear is not me, is the beloved. Is using me to connect to you. I'm just nothing but a vehicle. So that's what he tries to at least imply. But Persian poetry, one verse could mean so many things at the same time. And a person like Rumi could mean all that at the same time, So to listen to the reed as it complains, telling the tale of separation, and I'm looking in a way for somebody who has this longing, feeling the longing, feeling the somehow that something is missing, or I am coming from a place, and this egoic world with all the superficiality of it and lack of love and all the greed and competition doesn't really sit with me, or in fact I'm suffering. And he remembers being back at the reed's bed, the farm, which in a way refers to that inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, which means coming from God, going back to God, sort of sense of that kind of meaning of it. Saying that Rumi uses stories from Quran, uses stories from, because he was living in Rome, Byzantine Empire, Roman Empire at the time. He moved out of Persia because Persia his father moved to Konya, which was part of Roman Empire at the time, because the area was under Mongolian attack. And like people, the refugees, he was a refugee, the son of a refugee himself. His dad took him there, but he was a refugee. So he got a lot of influence because they were next to Greece. There was a lot of Greek influence and a lot of Greek stories, a lot of Greek personas are playing in his books as well. A lot of jokes, Turkish, Indian, and Konya was Konya at the time was like London, you know, people from all around the world gathered around there. It was on the Silk Route. Silk Road all the way to Europe, but it was a conjunction of many routes coming in Konya. So it was a bit of a mismatch of a lot of religions and ideologies, and they were open to the other person's ideas, saying that, like probably within Muslim community, let's say, or within Jewish community, if one of them, if within the communities, if like, for example, the person suddenly, everybody's through generations, hello, welcome, 3 generations we've been using the hijab, and suddenly one of them doesn't want to wear the hijab. There's a peer pressure, there's a community pressure, like, why do you do that? And Rumi got a lot of that when he met Shams, because Shams was a bit of a rebel. He belonged to Persian kind of Malamati Qalandari tradition, where they were trying, so within the Malamati traditions, that they did not want others' respect. They did anything they can in their power to kill the respect. You know, they thought respectability is the root of, or seeking respectability and recognition by the society is the root of ego. So what they did, they went against it. You know, they pretended they are drinking. They were, for example, drinking some sort of juice, which was red, but they pretended it's wine. And they pretended that maybe they drank wine even, God knows, and smoked marijuana, and did things like, which was totally thrown upon by the society at the time to get, and they were, you know, they shaved their hair, they shaved even their eyebrows and everything, and men and hair was a big thing in the region. So they did a lot of things to go against the status quo. And Rumi on the other side was the Imam of the Islamic world. He was the biggest at the time. People were coming from hundreds, if not thousands of miles to come to the pilgrimage, to see him, to see the Imam who was alive. Maulana means our king in a way, or like our Imam. So Maulana is still, you know, if you say Maulana, it means Rumi within Persian tradition, you know, Persian culture. He is the Maulana. But the Maulana met Shams, and Shams challenged him in a way that led to his total destruction of everything that he believed in. And so he was, in a way, following a tradition of, like, if you want to get there, you know, you've got to do these prayers and do this, that. But Rumi, Shams came and challenged all that. And the idea of love as a catalyst, love as the highest order, was somehow sold to him. And he bought it. Previously, he was seeking virtue. Virtue, you know, Islamic doctrine, which is called fiqh, like standard way of, you know, waking up, doing this prayer, doing this, as a way of to getting to God, or close to God. And then Shams came and said, you know, between you and God is your ego. Let go of the self, and you're there. You and beloved are hand in hand. You know, you are the veil. Let go of yourself, and you are with the beloved. And when you're with the beloved, you're capable of love, which is the essence of this cosmos, which is what moves the entire cosmos, which is the essence of existence, the essence of life is love. And he, through the reed, Song of Reed talks about it is not the wind goes through the flute, is love. It is the bubbles that in the wine make the juice, the grape juice to wine, those bubbles are love. And it just talks about like, this is love, that is love. And you get to a place that says, this stuff I'm telling you, you will only understand it, really, truly understand it, if you are unconscious. So so let's see what Nicholson says. Only the senseless is the sense confided. The tongue hath no customer save the ear. So only the senseless is this sense confided. Senselessness. Being, sometimes you have a trance state that you are unaware of who you are. You so have an immersive experience. I remember I was playing basketball, and then through, a few balls went to the basket, one after another, and then suddenly I became self-aware. And then after that, what have I tried? It was hardly going in. That's becoming self-aware, as is what he says, becoming, hello, just take a seat. So yeah, becoming self-aware, or aware of self, not self-aware, because it's a different word. Becoming aware of me. It disconnects that flow, that immersive experience. It says only the one who is in sort of trance, who is in a way crazy, drunken, a bit mad, senseless, stupid, will understand what I'm trying to say. Only the senseless is the sense confided. This stuff is for that person, not for the clever who is so protective of the self and is doing everything to make sure the self is getting all the respects and the values of the society. No, and it's not for that person. It's for that person who's beyond that, or below that, whatever you want to say it. So yeah, we went all the way to شاد باش ای عشق خوش سودای من ای طبیب جمله علتهای من. Hail, our sweet-tongued love, thou that art is physician of all of our illnesses, or illness. So sweet-tongued, Nicholson, he says sweet-tongued, but it's soda is an illness. Somebody called it sweet illness or sweet melancholy. That love, or in the past, even Freud, even now, was calling love as a madness, as an illness. In the past, they considered love, if you're in love with somebody, they considered that it's an illness. Even Ibn Sina, Abu Ali Sina, the highest of physicians, one of the fathers of the modern medicine, he considered in his book Qanun, the law, love as an illness. But he says, yeah, it's true, it's an illness, but it's a sweet illness. And this sweet illness is the remedy to all the other illnesses. And he plays with that, and he says, that art, the physician of all our ills. So love is the answer to all our pains. Not one, to all of our illness. And this is Masnavi, al-Ma'navi, Masnavi, which means this is a spiritual book. Don't try to take it too literally. So this is all coded, it's all spiritual. You might say this person killed the mother, and then says, oh yeah, why he killed his mother? He says, no, and then he carries on and says, that mother is your nafs, is your ego. You know, kill the mother first, the root. So he talks about so by illnesses, he doesn't particularly means physical illnesses, but as I said, it's layered. It could mean that if you are in love and you're feeling good and centered in love, you won't get much of illnesses, or your body is resilient to illnesses, or your life force is on a higher pitch. Because Rumi plays with the level of life. So it's not that this person is either has life or no life. It talks about how much life force this person has. It could be a low life, a high life. So that he plays with that idea that love is the highest frequency, is the highest energy, which will, if you have any other illnesses could be even greed, lust, gluttony, all the character defects, all that love can wash them away. So this madness, this illness is the remedy for the other illnesses. So you better get it. It's good for you. Just taking selective verses here all the way till I got last time. Okay. هر که او از همزبانی شد جدا بی زبان شد گرچه دارد صد نوا. But whoever is parted from one who speaks his language becomes dumb, though he has hundreds of songs. So it's been said that he talks about his separation from Shams. In fact, next one. چون که گل رفت و گلستان درگذشت نشنوی زان پس ز بلبل سرگذشت. When the rose is gone and the garden faded, thou wilt hear no more of the nightingale's story. So he considers that 2-3 years that he spent with Shams as the spring of his life. And then when the flower was here, the nightingale was singing. The flower is gone, nightingale doesn't have the feeling, doesn't really feel like singing anymore. This is when one is separated from somebody who understands, somebody who really can see into you, you become dumb. Like a flute which doesn't find the right lip, it becomes a noise. But if it finds that lip that can play it, can blow the right thing into it, or match itself with that lip, which is the lip of God, or the blow of God, which is love, that can start singing. جمله معشوق است و عاشق پرده ای زنده معشوق است و عاشق مرده ای. So I read the Persian bits for friends who are learning Persian, and they ask me to read it very slowly. And also for everybody to get, it's not just a philosophy book, it's a poetry book. It rhymes, it got its own beauty. چون که گل رفت و گلستان درگذشت، نشنوی زان پس ز بلبل سرگذشت. جمله معشوق است و عاشق پرده ای، زنده معشوق است و عاشق مرده ای. The beloved is all, the lover but a veil. The beloved is living in the lover a dead thing. The beloved is living and the lover a dead thing. So previously was talking about reed. Inside it there are these blocks that the love cut them through and then opened it so you can blow through the bamboo, through the reed. Inside it is blocked when you cut it from the reed bed. The love cut those through, and then it says, and then that's parde, the veil. And also in music, Persian instrument, musical world, octaves are also parde. It says the love cuts through all that kind of like the breakages of or compartmentalizing of music. It cuts through them and also cuts through the veil of ego. Ego is me, is another veil. It cuts through it. It just kind of like that word, parde, has so many meanings. And here it says the beloved, the lover, the beloved is all, and the lover but a veil. Again, parde. The beloved is living and the lover is a dead thing. So the reed is a dead thing, and what's getting blown into it, or the one who's blowing into it, is life, is live. So it goes back to the core of Sufi teachings, especially of the Maulana Rumi, or even you can get traces of that in Buddhism and a lot of other religions as well. Even Muhammad says, Mut qabla an tamut means die before you die. So that essence of die, becoming a dead thing. For the beloved use you or blow life into you and use you. Ashara, ishq, that is using the word here all the time, is ivy. In fact, in Arabic. What ivy does, it wraps up around a tree and kill it and flourishes. So that, in the Sufi tradition, in Persian kind of like teaching, that is love. As possessive as can sound. So it says the lover is everything. The beloved is everything. The lover is a dead thing. Again, going back to that, thing that's been running through many religions or probably ideas that you gotta die, surrender yourself to the beloved, to the divine. And be naught. So be naught. Just be nothing. Consider yourself being nothing. If you get the respectability, especially if you get detached to the respectability of the other, that stops you from being naught. You are now somebody. Being somebody, especially somebody that you are attached to, is the enemy of love. It blocks love from taking over. So again, in the spiritual realm, we're not saying, give up your house or wife or husband. Being psychologically, seeing that when you are intoxicated by love, if you are senseless, if you are, immersed in life, you don't have self. The self, it's like beautiful baby, a sunset, is something that is really captures your imagination, captures you. In Persian, in fact, we see this person or this baby or something is so beautiful, killed me. Manu kusht. Manu kusht means killed me. The beauty killed me means I lost myself in the beauty. So, going back to what we read, the beloved is all there is. Yeah, you can speak like for hours and hours about this kind of verse, this particular verse, but we gotta move on. چون نباشد عشق را پروای او چو مرغی ماند او چو مرغی ماند بی پر وای او. When the love hath no care for him, he is left as a bird without wings. Alas for him then. So, again, the veil came here again. When parva, when the beloved doesn't show itself, you know, when it was hiding itself from the being, is like as if a bird doesn't have a wing. You know, or when a being is being deprived of love, it's as if a bird doesn't have wing. Suddenly life, existence become meaningless. Like a bird existence. Bird and the wings gives it its function, its kind of glory, its ability to fly. Like a chicken, at least fly up to a tree, but still fly. But if a vehicle, if a human being doesn't have love, it's as if that person is like a bird who doesn't have the wing. Yeah, I mean, like Rumi himself and a lot of other people call Masnavi the love book. So it's all about love, 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 and the chemistry, you know, the alchemist, the remedy, the answer, the meaning, everything. They just constantly talk about love, love, love. And you will hear it from left and right and center, and hopefully one day it will hit. For me, for you, for everybody, hopefully one day it will hit the core. And it says, if the love hit the core, it will kill the ego. Not for a moment that you have an immersive experience. It will uproot it. It says, عقل و دل و اندیشه را از بیخوبان برچیدم در عاشقی پیچیدم. I burnt the root of thought, emotions, heart. I burnt them from the root, and I'm living with something else. I'm now become entangled with love. از دیده من اندر آب و از چشم من بنگر مرا زیرا برون از دیده ها منزلگهی بگزیدم در عاشقی پیچیدم. He talks about, he was probably intoxicated when he sang that. He just talks about, you know, با چیز دیگر زنده ام. I'm living with something else. You probably live with, you know, with the credits that you would get from your peers and the love you'd get from the, you know, your husband and wife, and the respectability that your qualification and your passport, your language, your status, your youth, your whatever is feeding you. You might be living with that, but he says, now I've burnt the root of all that. Everything that you can think of, I've burnt the root of it. I'm now entangled with love. I live with something else. I'm breathing, I'm eating, I'm drinking something else. I'm living in a different realm. I am with you, but I'm not in fact with you. I'm being lifted. Previous verses talk about so in Islamic traditions believe that Muhammad was lifted to the seventh sky, to where the God lives, Asha'Allah, in Mi'raj, when he was lifted. So this is a very important night for Muslims. They try to stay awake for the entire night, but there are debates about which night. 3 nights they believe. One of them is the night that Muhammad went to the seventh sky to God, and then came back to bring the news or whatever. Or maybe they say in that one night, the whole of Quran, which was given to him in throughout probably 23 years, was all downloaded in one night to him. So this is the literal meaning story in Islam. But Rumi goes to Quran and then turned them and mixed them and does something else with it. It says, the man was lifted to the seventh sky by love. Love did it. As if, the man is still here, but it's been lifted transcendent to another state by love. Still here with us, but in Islamic traditions they talk about he literally, physically, his body was lifted. But Rumi, he doesn't care about what is the actuality. He uses any story that he can lay his hand on and turn it into a metaphoric lesson, to metaphoric story. And it could mean the same thing as well, He could refer to that as well. He uses Quran as one of the main places, as one of his number one go-to places. In fact, Persians call it's a Persian Quran. We say, if you want a Quran, you can go to Quran or read the Persian Quran, which is Rumi's interpretation or read of Quran. It says, this is a lot sweeter. His interpretation of Quran is a lot sweeter than the Quran himself for Persians, because probably it's a language. But there's a fundamental thing between Rumi, Masnavi, and Quran. Quran follows reward and punishment structure, and it wants the person who's following Islam to follow a routine. But Rumi says, follow love. You believe in love and you survive, sort of thing, Just let love kill you and you'll survive. He just kind of has his own version, which is kind of it looks like it's becoming more and more popular around the world. Thanks to social media, we're becoming aware of genocide taking place on the other side of the world and things happening in nasty places, and the president of one country says something and does another. It just suddenly fills the world, and it's the world feels like an oyster, but at the same time it feels like fraud. It feels like, wow, previously we couldn't see what's going on, but now we can see. It doesn't really make sense. It's ugly. And people say, we need to find a solution. And people all around the world becoming aware that what Rumi says, and a lot of other people probably, could be the answer. Love could be the answer. But not that love which is somehow identify you as my gender, my age, my nationality, my religion, somehow I relate to you, so I care for you. If I don't relate to you, I want you dead. You're not in my tribe. But the tribe of love is all inclusive. This is بنازم به بزم محبت که دانجا گدایی به شاهی ما بنشیند. This is, I love that party or the love party, the kindness party, calls it it's a theme party. That in that party, the king and the beggar sit together and joke. They mingle. There's no hierarchy. There's no class system. It's all collapsed. And that's the party of love. Love party. In the love party, everybody meets everybody in an equal realm. Not because you were born from that lineage, you have a superior blood than me. Or, like a lot of religions say, if you believe in this religion, or you have this lineage of race, you are superior. I am superior. Ultimately, they get to that I am superior, or somehow they lose themselves, the dignity, the essence, the life force in them, and subordinate themselves to another human being in a way which is violence by itself. When I see somebody else superior than myself, it's a lie, it's violence, and we call it kafir. Kafir in Islam means somebody who is hiding the truth. The life in you is the same life as you and everybody else. And then one life sees itself, life doesn't see itself below another life. It's the ego. It's the perception of me, which is thought-based. It's see this human being below the other one, which is violence. So there's a lot of business out there about self-love, love yourself, love your neighbor, love. But in Rumi's world, when there is no self, what does it mean to have self-love? Or when there is no self, what does it mean to love thy neighbor? So, because our association, the way we look at the world, the lens is I. Love myself, and then you are the neighbor of me. But when the whole thing collapses, the whole construction of me and the egoic thinking stops, there's this wonder. Suddenly this hand is not my hand. And you're not my neighbor. In that purity of gaze, the distance across time and space collapses. And then they call it, is you become eternal. As Hafiz says, هرگز نمیرد دلی که زنده شد به عشق ثبت است در جریده عالم دوام ما. The life force of the human being that became awake by love or found life by life never will die. It's written in the magazine of life. Go and read it. It says the name is there. As if there is a Jaride Alam Dawam Ma. It says as if there is a magazine, there is a newspaper that they write everybody who's make it through. As this is the eternal, not the eternal person. It's your name will be there. Or Rumi says, بمیرید در این عشق بمیرید در این عشق چو مردید همه روح پذیرید که این نفس چو بند است و شما هم چو اسیرید در این نفس چو مردید همه روح پذیرید. If I'm not mistaken. It says die in love. Die in the self. Or die for love, die in nafs, in me, in yourself, for the sake of love, or let die kill you, or whatever you want to say. بمیرید در این عشق، بمیرید در این عشق، چون مردید همه رو پذیرید. When you die in love, you find soul. But you see, the core of Islam says you're born with the soul. But Rumi says, Hafiz says, Sufi tradition says, you only when you die in love, you find soul and you become eternal, because soul is eternal. If you don't die in love, what is there to worth resurrecting to be in front of the beloved? You're not even worthy of resurrecting. It's love is what will give you life. says Hafiz says بر آن دلی که زنده نیست به عشق نمرده بر او صلات کنید. He says a heart, a life, a human being which is not awakened by love, you can start doing the the mayyit prayer. Means the person is dead. When in Islam, when somebody dies, they do a particular prayer before burying the person. They call it like a mayyit prayer, like the person. It says if the person is not love is not awakened in them, you can go ahead and do the salat, which means you just like, okay, this person is dead, I'm going to do the final prayer for this person and then send them to earth for eternity. This is dead. From that tradition, from their point of view, a life which is not awakened by life is dead. But اندر درون دلها گنجی نهان نمودی از دل اگر برآید در آسمان نگنجد. Attar says, though, which is probably one of the teachers of Rumi, one of the kind of like earlier Sufis, says, but there is an essence, there's something in the heart that if it comes out, if that gets tapped into, when it comes out, it doesn't fit into the universe. The universe is too small for it. It says there's a treasure hidden in the heart. If that is tapped into and found, when you bring it out, it doesn't fit in the universe. So again, love, it's just kind of like you hear it all around till it becomes too boring. Yeah. چون نباشد عشق را پروای او چو مرغی ماند بی پر وای او. If the love is hiding from itself from the person, like there's a veil, the person is like a wing, like a bird without the wing. It's and then vayu, alas for him then. So that person is going to be in pain. So there's that idea that love has to show herself. Or herself, because in Persian traditions, God has got a very strong feminine side, that beauty that comes with the eyelashes and the gaze and everything kills me. So, با چنین زلف و رخش بادام نظر بازی حرام. This is, دوش می آمد و رخساره برافروخته بود تا کجا باز دل غمزده سوخته بود. So it's that beautiful being that with this beauty make a lot of people fall in love with her. But it's quite selective. من چگونه هوش دارم پیش و پس چون نباشد نور یارم پیش و پس. How should I have consciousness of aught before or behind when the light of my beloved is not before me or behind me? Yeah, it again goes to that kind of, not again, I think I may not have even touched it, but becoming enlightened in a way. When the beloved comes and sits in you, you can start seeing you behind you, in front of you, in the darkness of the world. If that light is not with you, you would not see the road, the path. So, it talks about how I can be worthy or get to a state that the beloved shine in me. How can I? So the light inside me talks about, in a way, is not my light. It's the light of beloved. How should I have consciousness before or behind when the light of my beloved is not before me or behind me? So it says the light of my beloved is not that I have that understanding, I have that ability to have an insight to something, to see inside something. It's the light is of the beloved, of love, of the light of love, is what makes me capable of seeing the truth. With any other light other than the beloved, I'm blind, I cannot see. If I look through the eyes of the intellect or my instincts, I'm still blind. I'm still blind. Only love shows the truth. Anything under any light beside the light of the love is not the truth. So only love. You see, there's this justice, love, my right and everything. So you would not know your right or others' rights if you're incapable of that light, if that light is not shining through you or you're not reflecting that light. عشق خواهد که این سخن بیرون بود آینه غماز نبود چون بود. Says love demands that I let go of this knowledge, but if the heart is not reflecting the light that I'm shining, how can it be? How can it be? How can it work? آینه دانی چرا غماز نیست؟ So let me actually, I didn't read the Nicholson's translation. Love wills that this world should be shown forth. If the mirror does not reflect, how is that? So yeah, how? If the mirror it carries dust, but it's not really dust because in the old days mirrors weren't made of glass. They were made of iron, which was polished so much that it was able to reflect. So it says when the mirror of heart is not clear, how could it reflect the light of love? آینت دانی چرا غماز نیست زانکه زنگار از رخش ممتاز نیست. It says, do you know why your mirror is not reflecting right, or doesn't reflect? So غماز also means somebody who carries news, like a spy sort of thing, or somebody who's carrying news from one place to another. Could be a reporter. It says why it doesn't reflect the news, or doesn't show. Why? زانکه زنگار از رخش ممتاز نیست, because it's been covered by all these layers of, when iron is exposed to humidity, something happens. What was that word? Becomes yellow. iron becomes yellowish because it's been exposed to water and moist. You know, it covers it. It's no longer, it's got some sort of chemical reaction takes place. But the only way to get rid of it is to get rid of it. You can't really turn. When it turns to something else, changes its nature from iron to something else, because it's kind of like water cause that change of molecule kind of nature of it changes. The only way is to get rid of it. So dost thou know why the mirror of thy soul, because soul is in the bracket, is not there on life force, reflects nothing? Why are you not reflecting nothing? Do you know why? Because rust, that was that word we were looking for. Because the rust is not cleared from its face, from its surface. So yeah, okay, now this is the key to this book. The light is always there. Love is always there. It's the foundation of the existence, is life force. But, so how can you reflect it? How can you empty yourself like the flute, that beloved blow through you, or the beloved, or you become a reflection of the beloved, reflection of love. So the whole book, and then a lot of stories now will appear through 6 books, trying to, one way or another, get into you. So this is the first this is the first story of the book. So how are we doing with time?